Any comments from you guys on it?
Yep.
Any good comments on it?
Look, okay.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. I know it's a long video, so we've put in the chapter markers so that you can jump to the bits that you really want to watch. If you do enjoy it, give us a thumbs up and let us know what you reckon, if you think there's anything we've missed. And we are going to be doing a follow-up video looking at the service life of some of these units, because we do want to give them a genuine test and we want to find out which one of these is the toughest and the most suitable for the Australian outback conditions. So thanks, let's jump into it. So we've got 3 different brands. We'll start out with the easiest packaging, which was Brendan's one, which is the Australian-made Outback.
Yep.
Nicely packaged. We got bubble wrap around it. These things are going to be in a tough environment, so we want to make sure that they're going to be able to handle it. So we've got a Perspex screen over it that's somewhere around 5mm. So that should be able to take a hiding. I mean, go under scrub, anything.
It's pretty bloody thick, really, and strong.
Yep.
Like a screen, anyway.
And then we've got a polycarb frame, which looks like it was like rotomolded, but then it's been milled out, which is going to add to its strength. We've also got the slot down here, which is where the plug is going to go into. This is all that came in the box.
Not even a piece of paper or nothing else.
No instructions. Nothing.
No. Unit 1, that is our Outback Comms one. So,
Jack, how does that affix to the vehicle?
good question, Ant.
Thank you.
Great question.
We were thinking about just ratchet strapping it down.
Cable ties come into mind too.
Right, so first model out. Now we're going to go for the most similar model. We've got our Starmount one. Oh, bigger bubble wrap than the other
Big
one.
bubbles.
Look, the kids are going to love that. Right, and
Look at that.
we've got 4 magnets and some mounting screws.
Is that an option or that just comes like that?
As an option, and we have our big bit, and I've got a UPS receipt. That's us. That's that done. Right, so there are the other screws in there, and we've got
4 there.
for the magnets, and there's some inside it. And we'll go like for like. I think yours might be better because it's white.
White's a good thing in the outback conditions in summertime.
But I think I might have selected black as an option.
But also, black's probably not going to end up red like white is.
Also might look a little low profile. Looking at the vehicle, it might be harder for people to see it.
Yeah.
Black also dissipates heat quicker.
Doesn't it absorb heat?
It absorbs heat quicker as well. I was just looking at the brighter side. Right, make sure we don't spill any beer.
Yep. Be a crime.
This one here, Outback, is
Aussie made, Starmount, American made.
at a wild guess. This is probably from the US as well.
Yeah, United States of Micronesia. This one is the antenna accessories.
Okay, come on then.
Big bubbles, big bubbles.
So the 2 from the US were big bubbles.
Yeah, right. So we've got another magnet pack. We've got 4, and these ones look like they are rubber. So rubber protected magnets. This one came with some clear silicon sealant from 3M. So that's pretty awesome. So we've got magnet, silicon, and we've got our magnet pack. So we've got a Sharpie in there. We've got all the screws. We've got some alcohol swabs. We've got a different plug, but it's like a weatherproof comms cord. It looks a little bit like a PS2. Now let's get into our unit itself.
It looks a bit feeble. Yeah. I don't like
It's a famous song. There's a guy who...
No, let's not go there.
That's, 1.5 millimetre thick. I can't convert that to whatever thou that is, but for size comparison. The other one fits inside it.
So
Now,
it's bigger.
we've got some butcher paper. This is the back of our unit, and it's almost the same thickness as the packing plastic that came with the Starlink unit itself.
Yeah.
It is pretty flimsy.
So the top of that's the top where the panel goes through.
Yeah.
It's not even like see-through, eh?
Isn't the sun just going to...
Perish this. That's why we're doing this. So we can actually turn around and definitively say, which one is good. This looks like the sort of thing you'd have on a yacht.
It seems like they've gone to more trouble with the accessories than they have with the actual unit itself.
That's right. It started off really good, didn't it, with all this?
Yeah.
All the fruit.
But we won't know until
That's right.
6 months' time.
Hang on. Okay, so this one's got the most stuff to dig into, and our initial thoughts are that the antenna accessories unit is...
Looks light on.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the Starmount is black, has a pretty solid finish to it. We haven't gotten into it yet, so we don't know. It has about a 4mm thickness.
Looks good.
Yep, it looks good.
Looks good.
And it's got those rounded shapes.
Yeah.
Then the Outback accessories has it's heavier physically. It is physically heavier.
Yeah, right.
So that gives us a little bit of a sturdiness. The polycarb, or the perspex is thicker. So when a wedge-tail eagle drops on top of it, it's probably going to survive. So initial thoughts are that these two are better.
I like this one.
Probably, it's a good thought. So we've got screws here, we've got Allen heads here, and this plastic here is threaded. I reckon we're going to find that those are self-tappers, which, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that, detail, care, attention to detail and in producing it, but that's probably where the price difference comes in. Very similar overall thickness, but we'd have to get the calipers out to really, because the Starmount's not all the way screwed down. But I'm going to assume that it's a uniform thickness. These cup heads, or these Allen head screws, stick out a little bit. And we are looking at about 31mm or an inch and 1.2 inches. And we are looking at 38mm. So she is just a bit more, and then harder to sort of pick, but we'll just go for this outside thickness, 45mm.
Yeah. Power tools a go.
Has my full support.
Thank you.
It's all right. I'll just undo 15 million.
Well, if you had the...
I don't have an Allen key driver that is, measured in fractions. Yeah, so this is the Henty Street Ale.
I reckon it's all right.
It's from Vic.
Cheap enough?
It's on special. We're not sponsored by that alcohol supply company, so we won't mention who they are. Oh, he's gone for an export. Look at him go. West Australian beer.
Here.
What do we got? Zip ties.
Keeps coming.
Sharpie. Must be an American thing.
See, that's the price difference. You get cable ties.
Yeah.
That one's got
This has got mounts inside it.
yeah, zip down
yeah.
mounts.
And they're in the right spot too.
Right, so you guys have completely undone yours, and I've just undone mine.
We did use power tools, but...
Yeah, so we are at that stage of going,
Getting an angle grinder and just hacking in.
No, he's got his drum.
none of them came with instructions, but they do tell us to go onto a web page.
But what's this thing here?
I believe that might be a template.
Template for cutting or template for mounting?
Cutting.
Hard to make sense of, isn't it?
Was this
It's very helpful.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well,
So the instructions, things not included that you will need to proceed. Gorilla Glue clear grip. Picture on page 54. 54. That's a lot of pages.
What's happened before 54?
The Dremel tool. The suggested one is a 4300 series, which includes all bits needed in this kit. What model do we have?
4,000.
4000.
4,000.
Close enough.
Clear thing saying your warranty is void. Can
Yeah.
you do this?
You can call or text Brandon. He might be up for us having a chat. Flush cuts or cutting pliers. In Australia, we call them snippy snips or side cutters because it's cutting on the side of the tool. We don't like to complicate things.
called as we see it.
A flathead screwdriver. At least they call that the same thing. And you're going to like this.
Yeah, tell me.
It's calling for a hammer.
I'm going to get it. Oh! Great catch. Great catch.
How's the beer?
Sacrifice.
Great catch.
Overkill's underrated. The last one is time and patience.
Oh, really?
Take your time. A mistake could lead
Forgot to
to a
bring
damaged
that.
dish.
Mistakes.
Now, this isn't... I'm not having a dig at you, Brandon. I can't spell for anything at all, but I think you've spelt it wrong.
Spelt what wrong? Patences. Is that meant to say patience?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not how you spell it.
I before E,
Except after C.
but there are many exceptions. Okay, but I understand completely that it's going to take time and patience. Well, let's skip the next bit of instruction. There. Now we know how to use it.
Okay, he might not be able to spell, but surely he can measure.
He's done it perfectly.
All right, so then we go from here and we...
No, Jack,
What do you think? What-
That's not.
What do you mean it's not?
He's sponsoring the show, Jack.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're sponsoring him. We've bought 2 of his things and spent a lot of money. Brandon's Sharpie wins because we didn't have to dig through a lot of stuff.
That's the advantage of this one so far.
That we've got the texter.
and
Yep.
and it's a fine point.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a goodie.
All right, so steady hands, you can do it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow, that's scientific.
What's he done?
I like the height measurement that he's using.
Show.
Well, I'll describe it to you. To get the appropriate cut height along here,
Yeah.
he's just got his Sharpie and he's rested it on the included.
So you would think this would be for, taping something up, but
No, it's actually a fine measurement tool.
actually a very important tool.
Goes like that.
So let's make sure that we've got enough space.
And then he rests. What does he do?
Yeah, he's just
He rests it on that, and then he starts.
give it a go.
Okay, so this is.
Yeah, but do you want to start with the U first? Or
No.
This is how they do it in NASA.
This is awesome.
practical? This is a solution we understand.
This is station type of setup.
Brandon, if you've ever worked on a station, let us know. I love it. Those instructions just...
Yeah. I'm liking it.
I like it. He's straight into the cutting.
How do you get the corner button?
He said just do it by hand. It doesn't need to be precise. Just join it up.
Okay, just give it a crack, eh?
I like his thinking. And what's even better is Ant hasn't given me any shit about following instructions when I usually say it's the first thing to go. But it's because
These are for cowards.
these instructions were written for people like us.
Poetry in motion.
Right, and then we just draw it. We just come around here like this to win.
Oh, yeah, I've got to see that again. That's brilliant.
Okay, and I do it.
Are you, like,
I have a friend who
is an artist?
Yeah,
Or
and she said with the kids, she just got them to draw lines and circles when they were young. She's not my mum.
Hands of a surgeon.
Oh, I know. Yes.
They call him Michael J. Brockman.
Leonardo Brockers. Okay.
Yeah, so Brendan's
And
question.
then I'll just give it a signature.
But now, while you're there, we'll just bring Brendan's question to attention. What do you think of that?
Oh, I see. So
But to the naked eye, you probably can't notice it. But
so are we? Oh, okay. So we're saying it should come to here.
Or does it? Let's check the.
What's the picture say?
Read the picture. This is actually why it's instructions we like, because pictures.
Okay.
You would think that we would get along really well with IKEA.
Yes. I'm the drawer. I'm not the cutter.
you've just shown the most steady hands.
Yeah.
In
I
the.
wonder if you can use the cutter with them. I wonder if there's a way to do this.
So the higher we go, the less.
Chance there is to stuff it up.
Yeah. So you could probably get a feel for it up higher, could you? Like there's nothing to run
You
into.
could, but
what's the
we've
fun
got
in
three
that?
of these. Do you want to put more noise on that? So
Can you put more noise on it?
Oh.
All right. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, Ant, show us what's in there.
Mana.
Oh, that's pretty easy to work with. Unpinch. You should be free and clear.
You are free. Go live your life. Yes.
That's pretty amazing. That's.
Are you sure you haven't done this before, Ian?
Yeah. No. I don't know. That's good. We're happy.
Oh, Ant, can you show us what's in your left hand there? What do we got?
Well, that's one side of it.
The signature series.
Signature series, yes. And it's got an on-off button, which is this thing here.
Yeah. One of those.
And then we have this up here, which is where the
Looks
cables.
like a bit like a face hugger out of Aliens, if I'm honest.
What do we do now? Because you don't need any of this, is that right? Because,
No, we do, because that's where the plug. So this is the one which is our comms data.
Okay.
Now this comms data line we need to maintain. So this at some stage is going to come off.
Yeah.
And we're going to pull the plug out of there, which is going to be into that.
Yeah.
But we've got this little bit here to pull out.
Mm.
And then we've got a bit of an edge here that we want to sand along.
Mm-hmm.
And
So that there, as it sits in that thing, goes inside there.
yeah. Please don't tell me it's taking you until now to realise that. What did you
Well, I'm
think?
not sure I still realised it.
So you just started hacking at it.
Yeah.
Just
What did you think we were putting in there?
Well, I thought you would take this
The circuit board out.
out and put it in there, but
No.
wow. Okay, all right. Here we go. Oh, well, it's not going to fit with all that stuff. All right.
That's a silicon molded, like that's a rubber mold. That's brilliant. That is something we didn't notice when we pulled it apart, is that there's an O-ring in there. That's nice. That's levering this out. Here.
Yeah, I like that. There we go.
yes.
Done.
There you go. We have movement at the station, Jack.
Yeah.
Must be them.
Oh, those ones.
Just pull them out.
Old mate's done it with a screwdriver and not stabbed himself in the hand. I don't like my luck.
Like that.
Yeah, break them.
Whoop.
Yeah, they're cactus now.
They're pretty flimsy. There we go. It's quite easy.
Sorry, I was I was working on my fine motor skills.
Yep. Easy.
Voila.
Right, she's done.
And that's the bit that goes in, so you didn't have to. Yes. And that's the bit. That's the bit that goes into the base, and that just clips into something else.
This clips into the back of this.
So
And
keep
then
that.
this goes into that little hole there.
Awesome.
That's it. This is the one part we don't want to break. Yeah, we found out that the antenna accessories one.
Is that, oh.
We're not sure if it's better than the roller tape.
I like the roller tape one. Though. Come on, the roller tape one was good. If you're going to do this, and you're going to use this, there's two ways you can put this in. You can put it in like that, or you can put it in like that. Now, what they have to be really clear on is this is the right way to go. Because if you go on the top, if you go the front way,
Your height's too...
your height's too high.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between there and there. But they say it's got to be 19 mil from the face.
It's about 3/4 of an inch up.
Yeah, so this is wrong. This is right. So that's why I've done
Freehand round.
freehand. There you
All right.
go. Beautiful. Okay, good.
So
good.
reading the instructions
Yeah,
is works up.
it has. It carries some weight.
Yeah.
Okay, where's that little machine?
Goes in.
Let me know if you feel any pain.
Yeah, we need the sort of glue to be sticky enough to hold it in its place, don't we?
So we're back on. We've started using a little bit of the epoxy to do our seals here and here. And we'll do a little bit of a close-up, but at the moment, we're going to try and get some glue to get Brendan's cable routing half okay. What do you reckon of that?
Beautiful.
Done?
That's good enough, surely.
Time for a cup of tea?
Yeah.
All right, so we've done the glue and it's set on these other two units. So we're up to the antenna systems. So what we are going to be doing is we're going off script because
They had all this. Is that right, Jack?
they had a proprietary or a very expensive plug.
This one here?
Yep.
And why is there two?
So you have to modify all of your leads to suit that one mounting system.
Wow.
So we didn't like that, and it wouldn't work well for our interchangeability that we want to have between vehicle and vehicle. So we're just mixing up some more epoxy, and we're going to get this one gluing, and it's going to take about 10 minutes. Now, Ant made a very good observation, and I agree with him, that the most sturdy part of this entire mount, this particular one, is going to actually be this glue.
That's it. That should click. That's it. All right, everyone happy?
We're all happy. Let's go like this.
Square edges so it sort of sits there. Yep. It's just sitting a bit up here. I don't know if that's sitting on something or no.
No,
Not anymore.
right. So that one's just
That can be bolted on.
So this is the star mount. It's got hex head screws, and we've got an O-ring there that we can see we've got down, the press down onto it, and that indicates to us that we have our weatherproof seal from the top. And then at the end here, we've got the standard Starlink plug in here, which has its own weatherproofing. And while we do some mods to Brendan's one to fit into his case, we're just going to plug this one onto Brendan's car, and we will see if it works.
does feel a lot safer.
Has anyone ever noticed on Starlink board
Oh, sorry.
that there's a hidden 4-leaf clover in them?
What?
Yeah, there's a 4-leaf clover just here.
Okay.
What a little Easter egg that is. You're pretty lucky that you. Maybe that's it. That you haven't hit that, so you're lucky.
Yeah.
Clicked in. Doesn't need any more. Look at that. I think that's nearly.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going lower than that.
No, I think that's good. That one feel a bit more solid once it's all together.
Nah.
Straight out now.
So this is the original Starlink mount that we had, the heavy duty. Now for Australians, it's $780. A lot of aluminium, and it is tough. Like this is a strong bit of kit. You know, this didn't break. Most of the mount hasn't broken, and it's just these legs that have. And we reckon that, you know, without these or some sort of alternative, we're not going to have an issue. All right. So are there any other comments on the Mark 1 star mount, Brendan?
I'd reckon that one's probably the best sort of, what would you say, beginner's one, do you reckon? Like it's pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah, it didn't take much modification. It was just one hole to drill at the back.
Just to stop the
motors.
The motor finding the satellite. That was all you needed to modify, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So you didn't have to do any of the cutting or any of the Dremel stuff that we've been doing today. So you could pretty much just get your as is off the peg Starlink and put it in, and away you go.
Look, you had to drill a 3/4 inch, 19 millimeter hole in it.
Yep.
And unplug a.
Okay, but compared to the other pre-work,
yep,
this one's probably the easiest for those that are a bit
scared,
bit like me, of power tools. I think the other thing with this one is, you know, we've really spec tested this, and it has been good. And the only place that it has broken has been on these mounts here. Is that right, chap?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, you know, because if you look under here, you can detach those legs, then there's no reason why you couldn't detach those legs and just have this base on it, and just the physics of it with a lower profile. You know, we could modify this now, even though this is broken. We could modify this and run this no problem.
Yeah, we could get this functioning.
Yeah, so I think I agree. I think it's a good starter kit, and I think it's suited to most outback conditions, but Prenti conditions I would say are at the harsher, and Carnegie are at the harsher spectrum.
Extreme test.
Yeah, at the harsher spectrum of outback conditions. So yeah, I think this is I think it's good.
Right, so we'll push them to the front here. I'm going to give you guys a texture each.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm going to make sure that. Yeah, thank you very much. Now we're just going to do a rating, and we're just going to go out of 1 to 10 how we reckon it is, and then we'll talk about why.
Okay.
Right.
It's like the tribal council.
It is. Let's show us our cards. So I'm 7.5.
I gave mine a 6 out of 10.
I gave mine a 7.
All right, so I rated it the highest. So let's start with the lowest score first. Let's discuss some of your reasons why you reckon it's a 6 out of 10.
I reckon it's pretty good, pretty easy. I wasn't here when you drilled it and all that. You know, that could have only taken sort of an hour at the most, couldn't it?
20 minutes.
Yeah, see, so that's, you know, easy. It's good probably if you're going to have one that you're moving around between vehicles, isn't it? You know, you can just quickly chuck it on this vehicle or that. So, yeah, I reckon that's a pretty good, just easy sort of a setup.
Yep. Ant, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all the comments, and I like the fact that there's a lot of people that are, especially people with caravans and that are they're not the wild end of the four-wheel driving. They're the dray nomads and whatever. And I think they'll find that Starlink really, I think it's going to get really popular really quickly to have that connectivity wherever you go. And this is a simple thing. I like the fact you don't need to use many power tools with this, and you can get it up and running quick, and it suits most conditions. So that's what gave me the 7.
Right, so I gave it a 7.5. Biggest thing was it was out so quickly from when the dish was, the model dish was released. Brandon had it together and he had a prototype up so quickly that it was getting out there. And it was just that forethought and just absolute go-getter attitude that I really liked about it. So from the moment they were available, I ordered one to get to here in Australia. And he was, great with communication, let us know the whole way through. And
that sort of product support.
Absolutely. It is unbelievably good. It's friendly. It comes with everything you need. It came with a drill bit. It came with a rubber bung to put back over it and paper instructions that were clear and easy to understand. It was just unfortunate for here in Australia, it cost so much in shipping. So it was 780 Australian dollars, but it ended up costing me closer to 1,000 once we got it shipped here. And that's just the size of it and the limited number of shippers from the US to Australia. But some of the design features I really like are like the laser cut on the side here where you've got the branding. And this is just some serious grade quality equipment.
That's solid, eh?
Is.
Not hollow.
The antenna accessories unit. So it's quite large. Same process as the others. Now, for Australians or for Americans, it's $425. Australians, that's $628 plus shipping, which was nearly 160 Australian dollars in shipping. And it took about 3 months to get it. But some of the standouts on this one are that the plastic is a bit flimsy compared to the other units. It had these proprietary style weatherproof plugs, which in a few applications I could see being useful, like if in a marine environment, because these are stainless, and if you're going to be fixing it to, say, a boat or something, but you're not allowed to use this model on a boat anymore. We do have some questions about the durability of this plastic. It would be nice if it was something like Kydex, like what your paddle holsters for like your Leatherman made out of. That would have probably made it worth the price that they ask for. Any comments from you guys on it?
Yep.
Any good comments on it?
Look, okay. So it just feels like this feels extremely flimsy. You know, when you go to Bunnings and you're looking at storage containers and you get the ones that have sort of got a hard top, you get those ones that have got a bit of a flimsy top, and you think, I don't know, because I think if I sit on it, it's going to crack. That's this, right? So I just can't see it lasting. I think the first thing I worry about, anyone that's travelling in Australia, is the amount of sun we get down here. I think this will perish pretty quickly and crack, even if there's no weight applied to it. The second thing is that I wasn't a big fan of all the modifications to the cables, so on and so forth, that you had to do in order to retrofit from the original to this. So if you want to go from an original Starlink and go to this and follow their instructions, I think that would be, because you've got to cut the plate down, you've got to do all the Dremel work, you've got to do all that, and then you're not finished there. You then got to do all of the wiring and cabling and so forth. So I think it's a hell of a lot of work to put it into a container that I don't think is going to is fit for purpose for Australia conditions.
All right, Brendan, any thoughts on it?
I think the only thing that saved this one was it come with a good kit, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like it had pretty good instructions. It come with all the bits and pieces. So that was one good point about it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's we'll dive in. We'll give ourselves a review on the American-made antenna accessories unit.
What was the price on that one again?
This one's price was in Australian dollars $628 plus $150 in postage.
The tribe has spoken.
Okay.
Reveal.
Okay, what's Brendan?
I've given it a 4 out of 10.
I've given it a 2 out of 10.
I've given it 0.5 out of 10.
Right. Now, let's.
I just want there to be. I want there to be no. Look. This is from where? California.
Yeah.
Okay. So in California, this might be an 11 out of 10. But for Australia, and for someone who is not tech savvy, power drill competent,
Pinouts.
pin out, blah 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 blah. If you bought this, it would be. I think you'd regret it compared to all the other things. Sorry, I'm like the Simon Cowell of. You got to call it as you see it, Jack.
No, that's.
And I just for Australia, it's a no for me.
Well, because I was the next lowest, I'm going to talk about why I gave it a 2. You got 1 point for actually showing up. And the second point is this nifty little tool and this Sharpie. And I would say that this is the most expensive texter I've ever bought. Because that's the only really useful thing in this entire kit. The screws themselves aren't even that good. So I'm surprised Ant rated it there, but I was being a bit generous. When it showed up, to be honest, it was a disappointment. It truly was. I like the idea of these plugs. They, would serve a purpose. However, it's going to be, $150 odd to be able to have our systems, the rest of our systems, interchangeable and universal. A huge complaint on the Starlink is the proprietary connectors. And then you pull this. I'm sorry, whoever made this, you can get angry at me, but it's not made for Australia. With everything else that's out there, I couldn't recommend this any less. So it costs a lot. It was a disappointment when it showed up. It looked like it was going to be a lot better built. Again, like I said, if it was built out of something like Kydex, but even complete, we've got this in a functional form. It came with a lot of, flash bits of equipment. But, in terms of the ranking of most expensive pieces on here, it's the Sharpie, this piece of 3D printed measurement, which was supplanted by a piece of a roll of electrical tape, and then this made in USA. That probably cost more than anything else that went into this.
America.
This is not the greatest thing that's come out of the US.
This is
No,
making
so
America great.
Brendan, let's know why you are so far ahead of us.
I'll be the nice bloke. 4. I've probably given 2 or 3 of my 4 towards this and what it come with, because that doesn't really do much for me.
No.
Yeah.
This is
And that's all I'll say.
Thank you very much for giving us something that we could probably
live without.
One of the things you'll notice if you're looking at this, we haven't put all the screws into it, and we didn't put the included silicon on here because to be honest, as soon as we can get another system, another frame, we're going to be putting it into one of those, because this just isn't. It's not fit for purpose. Once we've got it in another unit, we're going to put this out in the sun, and we'll put it somewhere that's going to have reasonable exposure to the environment, and we're just going to see how long it is before it just perishes and tears itself to shreds. All right, so this is Brendan's. This is the Outback Comms one. The price of it was about 328 Australian dollars, and it came in around 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. Yeah.
And so you saw that we had a few issues with our plug, having to modify it a little bit, but they give you the option when you purchase it where you want the plug to come out. So we could have done a few things differently. Like if we'd done a full dry fit before we glued it, we would have found that we needed to mill down a little bit on the housing itself, but we got there in the end. There's a couple other comments. We are using self-tapper screws on here, which means that it's sort of, once you're in, you don't want to pull it out again too many times, because you'll start to lose the integrity of the plastic. And the O-ring around the edge here isn't quite as thick as the Starmount one, so it doesn't look like it's got as good of a seal. So you would potentially have to put a bit of silicone on there to give it that surety of weatherproof protection, but that would then prevent you from being able to take it out and in. But I guess once you're in one of these, you're pretty good, and it is quite like it's got a bit of weight to it, but it's nowhere near as heavy as the Starlink was to start with, and I've got no questions about the durability or how long it's going to last. The white plastic, we're not sure about the UV rating, but it's an Australian company and they are directing at Australians in the outback. So we are assuming that they're using a grade of ABS plastic that is UV rated.
Thirsty.
Mm.
I love the fact you got a trike. You designed the back of your car so you can fit a trike.
Just don't let Lyra know that it's there.
Yeah, well, I said bike a bit loud before.
Mm.
I'm going to have to shut the door.
We'll have to grease it.
Yeah. I was going to put it on the roof, but then she'll see it.
Yeah. Right.
So we've got the Outback Comms. We've got the Outback Comms unit here, low profile mount. And yeah, you guys got any comments on it?
Yeah, I reckon good. Nice and strong looking. The only thing is, the negative is that's what it come with, just that, nothing at all else. So no instructions, no texters, no rolls of tape, no nothing. So really good, other than the lack of. But that's the price, I suppose. Good price compared to the others. So you get what you pay for, sort of.
All right, Ant, your comments?
Yeah, look, I like this. It just comes across as really sturdy, and it's good. It's good quality material. The only negative I have with this is, if using one, there was no instructions, and like you say, but also when you're doing the Dremel, when you're cutting from the original, you have to cut particularly low.
We had to go a lot deeper on that
A
one.
lot deeper and really close to the circuit board, which took, some highly skilled individuals, aka Brendan, because it's his.
It was too high risk.
Yeah, we were too scared. You do have to come in really close to get this.
We didn't really want to go any more than what we went.
No, and so you're really shaving. You're talking millimeters. You're shaving above the circuit board in order for it to fit. Look, I really like it, and I think this is really durable. I think it's going to last. I don't think once now it's in, I don't think you're going to have to do anything to it, and it's going to go as long as you want it to go.
Yeah. Right. Well, we've had a good look over this Outback Comms one. That's Australian-made, available here in Australia. Came from New South Queensland.
We're scoring.
We are scoring.
This is tough, actually.
All right, you guys ready for the reveal?
Yep.
All right. I'm an 8 out of 10.
I'm also an 8 out of 10.
I'm also an 8 out of 10.
There we go. Right. So since we are all pretty level, paper, scissors, rock.
Yep. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you've got me and you've got things, so it's over to you.
I went 8 out of 10. Best thing I like about it is it's Australian made.
Yep.
So that's a good choice. Good price. So I like that too. It's just could have come with more instructions. If I wasn't doing it here with the other ones, it would have been really hard because it come with nothing really. So if you're doing it by yourself with only one to compare it with, it'd probably be tricky, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Right, and
Yeah, I like it. I like it because it's really simple. It's very, simplicity. I just reckon the harsher the conditions, the more simple designs stand up. And this is a very simple design. What you see is what you get. Like I say, I think it's going to last. Now it's together. It's going to last a long time. So I would buy. Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. I reckon it's tough. It's brilliant. It's Australian made. It's available here. It came nice and quickly. The negatives are, instructions. It didn't come with any, but we've got the internet. We can jump onto that. We had that little bit of, modification we'd have to do to it, or the extra amount that we had to cut out of it. But the price makes it appropriate. The options for mounting it down, now they do have them on their website. They are available. They do go into it. They have also a tougher version, and they've got a couple of different versions. One of them that actually just takes 2 Milwaukee batteries, and you're away, you're set.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of options, and they are catering especially to the Australian mining exploration market.
Okay.
That's pretty incredible. I like those options. Haven't been able to talk to the guys that build them.
And a good thing is you can send your Starlink to them, and they can mount it for it. They can cut it and mount it for you.
They do not charge you at all.
Oh, that's a big plus.
Yeah, so you buy it from them, and it is no charge. Now, the other companies that we have looked at today, they will charge you a few $100. Like, it's 325 Australian dollars for one of the other systems for them to do the modification for you. Whereas the Aussie guys, you just send it to them and they chop it up for you.
Well, if I knew that, I would have given it a bigger score.
Well,
Okay.
So that
is a good point.
Yeah, this is the breadboard, and that
Got your
score,
fish on the back of it.
Yep. This, the score. It's definitely an Australian, implication on the score. Look, a couple of the things. I mentioned the self-tapping screws, which reduces the service life. Taking it on and off, but really, once she's in there, you shouldn't need to take it off. I reckon I'll be ordering another one of these to replace that piece of antenna accessories one, because I reckon that if we really got down to it, all of the plastic in this, if we melted it down and do a air injection molded frame, we could probably make somewhere around 50 of that antenna accessories units, just because they are so thin. We're talking, we've got a fair bit of material here. So, thank you very much to Aussie Outback Comms, and love your work. Yeah.
Pretty happy with it.
Very happy with it. The Starmount flat mount low profile unit. It is lighter than the Outback one. It came in at $500 Australian plus shipping, and it took a little while to get here. It took around 10 weeks to get here, so close to 3 months.
Okay.
3 months for the white one, and it wasn't.
Was it COVID related or anything? Did you order them all at the same time, or do you think some may have been impacted more by COVID just on the timing?
I ordered the antenna accessories unit at the same time as I ordered the first aluminium star mount. This is the star mount. Very easy. Plug went in nicely. It's got a pretty sturdy plastic body. The seal is good and the plastic is tapped in there. So it also is tapped for whatever mounts you wanted to use, like a suction mount or a magnetic mount. But she looks the business, and I think it's going to do well. Have you guys got any comments you want to add to that?
Yep, I reckon looks really good. Was pretty easy. It was probably easier than the Outback Comms, just because we didn't have to cut as much. And yeah, just good quality, really, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, look, I just from the process that we've been through here today with the Dremel cutting, the support equipment that was given, I love this. I mean, this being the measuring tool for where to cut. Everything just worked. Everything went together really easy.
Yeah.
That you feel like the seal's really good.
Yeah.
I would say in durability for the conditions that we're in here, I think this one and the
Outback Comms
would be similar. But this was easier. If you're going to do it yourself, this is probably easier to do because you don't have to cut so close to the circuit board.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to last, and yeah, I'd buy one, sure.
Well, that is one thing that I forgot to mention about the Outback Comms is I did like that it had the golden 4-leaf clover that we found when we cut close enough to the board, which, a little bit of a smile there might be, good luck. That's
all the viewers can try find it themselves.
Yeah, but that's probably why we were drinking Guinness.
Okay, we've got to vote. Okay.
I'm a 9.
I'm also a 9.
I am a 7.5.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well,
You better start.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Right. So look, I just think everything's relative, right? So my scoring system is I actually rank this. The reason I've ranked this below, I was originally going to rank this 9.
Yeah.
Because I thought this is the best when we were doing the process that we're doing today. And I would have given it a 9. Right up until the point where you bloke said there's someone else that can do the cutting. Like, just to be clear, I'm loaded. Money's no object for me. So if I can get
stinking rich.
So if I can get someone else to do all the work, that's the winner for me. If you are going to do this yourself and do all the modifications from the original Starlink, I would rate this a 9 out of 10 versus the Australian one.
Outback Comms.
Outback Comms, 8 out of 10. So I 100% agree with the 9 out of 10 for the process we've been through today. But once I found out that someone else could do the cutting and all the fiddly stuff and just send it to you that's good to go, then that became my favourite. So that's why I went for 7.
Well, I reckon 9 out of 10. I reckon it was the best quality out of the ones we had. It looks the best. It was easy. I would much rather rate the Australian one better, but this was just slightly better, I reckon.
She's a 9. She's not a 10 because it cost so much. The Perspex thickness isn't quite as much as the Australian one, and so you can see it actually bending. And I physically can see a gap around the edge here, which the Australian one doesn't have. Again, this could be fixed up with a bit of silicone, but you've got that gap, and the rubber seal here is pretty good. The instructions also gets extra points, that difference between the 7.5 and 9, because we use the instructions for this for the other ones.
For all of them.
Because it was the clearest, the most concise, and just, God, that was so simple. We've got a a roll of Sparky tape, and it was nothing fancy, not $900 worth of 3D printing. It was get your Sharpie, whack it on the side there, and just
and then away you go.
draw it around.
Genius.
That was just so brilliant. It is that sort of thinking that I like
Fits
it.
into the station culture.
It does.
Okay, Jack, what's the verdict?
We added up the scores, and the Starmount unit is just in front. When we're looking at these and considering which one is fit for purpose in Australia, the answer is they both are. But when it comes down to your technical ability and what you'd like to do, what you're comfortable with, depending where you are, but primarily, if you're going to do this by yourself, the Starmount is the winner. It comes with the most concise instructions, the best level of support. You can reach out to Brandon, he does respond to you, and you've got a unit which is sleek. It is very nice, and it's got, you know, the opportunities for modifications. It's tough, it's durable. We're going to find out how durable, but it does an excellent job. Now, if you're someone that doesn't really want to sort of cut something up and you aren't comfortable and you don't have access to the other instructions, you're doing it by yourself. For the Australian market, it would be crazy not to go for the Outback Comms Unit because you can get them to do it at no extra cost. And then it's going to come to you in something that is nice and neat as a package. And there's those little bits and pieces here and there that if you were doing it yourself, yep, you need to learn. But by far, you're saving a few $100s and you can get them to do it. So all in all, we have got 2 excellent units, and then we've got this. I'm really sorry. I wanted to like it, but it's a disappointment. I can't say anything nice. It's an insult to customers. It is an absolute insult to people that are paying good money for an absolutely inferior product. This has got nothing, and I say nothing, on these other 2 units. If you're in the United States and you didn't want to buy a Starmount unit, you could buy one of these Australian-made units and get it shipped to you for less than this thing costs. And you're going to have something that's better. So all in all, looking at these 2 units, the Starmount will cost you more time and money because the Australian-made Aussie Outback, you can get that shipped to you completed. The DIY aspects of both of them is really nice. You get to have your hands on and feel a little bit technical. But for a similar quality product, the value for money leans to the Outback Comms. Ant's value for money proposition and Ant's rating, he's telling me that his is right. He likes to be right. No, we've got quality units here, and then this. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed seeing us do our little bit of work on this and that you're going to get something out of this. I can tell you right now, if I was going to be getting another unit, I'd be looking at this Outback Comms one. And for those in the Australian market and the Australian environment, I absolutely have to say, look, the Outback Comms is an absolute winner. Everyone else, the Starmount system is great, and I think that what Brandon's done with his equipment, the quality of service, the backup support and everything, this unit is worth every penny.